So today we're going to take a look at Sentinels versus C9 that happened yesterday, because it's the last time that we might see Sentinels for some time. They're unlikely to make LCQ at this point, and that means that they would go many months without playing, and that probably means as well that very likely this roster might not stick together either, and we might get some changes on that front. So even the next time that we see Sentinels, it might be with a different roster overall, but we shall see. Let's just take a look at it, right? And I would say overall, they lose this map Haven 13-2. I don't think it was that bad on this map. I think C9 played very well. I didn't think it was that bad, but there were some moments of bad, and we'll take a look at some of them. And it starts really with the pistol round, in terms of the bad at least. Because what we're going to get from Sentinels in the pistol round, as you can see, we've got 3 players here, and we've got the Breach and the KO towards C. And what they're going to do is they're going to do a little C split here, but straight away we run into some problems, and we'll see it in this round. As we run this forward, these 3 players, the Omen, the Jet, and the Chamber, are going to walk towards the garage door. As you can see there, they're going to smoke off the garage window. Raucous is here. And then Tens is just going to just run in and die. And Leaf dashes out. And then we get this really nice stun by Curry. What I just want to say, though, is that this is, I mean, a very odd choice by Sentinels, right? Like, why is there no utility that is going in to try and get into garage? I don't really know. Doesn't make any sense. Why is the Breach over here with the KO, and the Chamber is here when the main thrust of the attack is over here? I don't know. I always feel like the Breach should be wherever the main thrust of the attack is, right? Like, the Breach should always be going where the majority of the players are, and the Chamber really should always be where the majority of players aren't, because the Chamber can't really help the team. You know, Dapper has no utility to help the team in this instance, whereas Shazam on the Breach very much could help the team if he was over here, or even the KO. But, you know, either one of these 2 agents, the 2 initiators, why are they on their own over here? You know, you do have no initiators over here, and then Tens is just running in with no utility going into garage. It doesn't really make any sense, and they get punished for it quite rightly. Really nice stun, as I said, from Curry coming out there. That gets Leaf the 2nd kill as well. Then Vanity with a nice flash as well, and they manage to even get that next kill also. Now they know where these last 2 players are now. They hear them running down, and so Curry swings out and he manages to get the last 2 as well. Again, I don't really know why Sentinels didn't send an initiator with the main thrust of the team. You know, if that's going to be the first point of contact going into garage, you know, we need to see some kind of utility to try and take that space. But it wasn't all horrific, and we'll come to round number 5 to see an example of that, because we're going to get, well, what starts off as an A hit from the side of Sentinels. They send in the Omen smoke down here towards long, they send in the KO knife, they get the Omen TP across, and they get early A long control with the Jet and the Omen. You know, fairly normal stuff. They send in the Breach stun as well at the start of the round. So they start walking down A, and you know, they get this early control, and Tens is ready to go. I don't love this from Tens, because this smoke from the Omen, their own Omen, this smoke here is about to fade anyway, so he just takes this kind of unnecessary risk just walking through it again with no real utility. There's no real need to do that. As I said, the smoke is about to fade, as you see right there. It goes like a second later. They smoke off Heaven, and they're going to try and come in here. They're going to send a Breach Aftershock down in towards short. Out comes the Sky Ult. Ten shoots that. He sends in a Jet smoke there, and he's going to go dashing into it. Now, Flash comes out in response from Curry, but what we're going to see is after a bit of delay, you know, Ten sends down the 2nd smoke. Really nice. We're going to get a flash, I think, from both initiators here. You just saw Shazam's come on the Bucks. I think Kampeki's going to send one out as well. I don't quite know where that goes, but I think that that's the one that catches this Breach here, and that allows them to get that kill. And then Tens wins this fight before getting flashed himself. Really nice flash there from Vanity, and gets traded out. But they end up in this situation, right? They got the first 2 kills. They're still in a 4v3. Well, now they decide, you know, okay, we've done well enough here, and we've got Dapper just lurking up towards B, so they decide to just flip the script. You know, they expect that everyone will be here. Actually, Mitch has stayed on C, so I think they wanted to just come towards C at this point. They're sending the KO knife there. It doesn't see anyone. But then, unfortunately, they run into a chamber trap, and I think that is then the decision to go towards B. Obviously, they could have just gone towards B anyway, as Dapper had just, you know, walked up on there and had seen that no one was there. But eventually, they end up there, and they manage to get the spike down. They are going to make a small mistake here in that Zephyr, as you will see, is able to just sort of walk in onto the site without anyone really realizing, and gets a kill. So yeah, not ideal that this is really allowed to happen. And yeah, they get the kill on Dapper there. But we are going to see a nice reaction here, a good flash there that allows Kampeki to come across and get that kill. And then he's also going to manage to out-duel Zephyr here, who just misses that flash. It looked like it might have hit, but it doesn't. They get that kill, and then they find the last kill as well outside garage, and they get their first round on the board. Now let's come to round number 6, and I think that this round perhaps showcases kind of where Sentinels are, where it's not truly tragic a lot of the time. Again, they take this early A main control with the knife, with the smoke down here, the Omen TP, the stun down there. They do all that same stuff, and they get the early A control that they want. But I think that this is going to be a good example of where Sentinels are as a team, where, as I said, like there's going to be some good to this round, but also some things that just could be improved, right? That if you want to be a top team in the game, like I don't think the top teams would really make these mistakes or would be more aware. Now, it starts off with this push from Leaf here down mid, and Dapper does like a double take as he sees him. But then C9 go into rescue mode, the smoke, Leaf dashes out. And he manages to survive, but Sentinels is still going well, right? The fact that no one died there from that mid push, the fact that they found it without anyone dying is actually perfectly fine, and they're going to set up for this A hit with the breach ult coming in towards site just there, as we will soon see. Now, Tens has an op. At first I was like, why is Tens not dashing in with this ult? But it's because he has an op. So that is exactly what we get. As you can see, in comes the breach ult, and they're going to go in. Now, the smokes maybe are a bit late here. As you can see, that smoke has like just come out. So maybe it's a bit late in terms of the timing with the breach ult, because they managed to get the first kill, but then actually Zephyr is able to get a kill from heaven, I think because that smoke is a bit late. So that is like one little thing there, but it actually ends up okay, because that's actually in a resable position. And so they do manage to actually get the res off on the KO there, and then they are going to actually get the spike down, right? And now we're just in a 4v5, so it's a good situation to be in here for Sentinels, right? And then what's going to happen is the chamber trap here on A goes off, right? So they know that someone now is also on the flank, but the way that they deal with it, well, they don't deal with it, essentially. But also, another thing that I really want to point out is that the breach on the other side for C9, Curry has his ult as well, right? And I think that this is something that, again, like the better teams, in the world would realize that and would definitely play around that fact, right? Hey, they've got a retake situation and they have a breach ult. They're definitely going to use it in a full gun round here. This is an important round for both sides. They're definitely going to use it this round. So really, ideally, you would want these players to, get out, essentially. You don't want these players in this position where they're going to potentially be in line of the breach ults, but they don't. Right, and so we're going to see from C9, in comes an aftershock there to get people out of hell, try and push them out, and in comes that breach ult. Now, actually, Dapper in hell is going to be able to ward that off and not get hit by it, but in comes this breach ult. But then at the same time, we've got just Shazam here, just dry peeking back towards Mitch, who's on the flank. Sure, they don't know exactly who is on the flank, but still, just one person going in, dry swinging when they know that someone's here. Tens is holding down here instead because he's trying to hold for the breach ult. You see how it's just a bit... It's just not coordinated, right? In theory, everyone from here could be attacking this one player on the flank whilst they're waiting for this breach ult to come in, right? Like, that could have potentially happened, but instead we've got two people getting hit by this breach ult whilst one person is going to try and deal with this flank on their own and dying. And now, these two players are out of the fight for a while. And so basically now you're in a 2v4, essentially, in terms of people who can actually fight. And obviously that's never going to be an ideal situation. And then what happens is, as C9 start coming back in onto the site, we start getting kills here onto the players that are stunned. Then Mitch manages to win this fight again against Tens here, who tries to then swing on him on his own again. And we end up in a 4v2, right? So it was a 4v5, now it's a 4v2. Dapper does manage to get one as the one player who isn't stunned. Kampeki still can't fight as he was stunned, so he tries to send out a flash, which is pretty well timed, but obviously in a 4v1, it's not going to really work. And C9 managed to win the round. But now let's come to round 9, and well, at least Dapper turned up, as we will see in this round, because they're going to go for a fast B play. They do get flashed early on, these three players, and eat that flash pretty hard, but they're going to come in for a quick B play. They go for the Omen TP back here, where this guy will obviously see the Omen and shoot it, but we get that kind of play coming in early, and they are just going to come into B. They get the KO knife in there early as well. Tens, again, it's a bit odd from him, because they know that this guy is back side, so he ends up like mid-air shooting, but then managing to dash away. But let's just keep our eye on Dapper, because Dapper has managed to push quite far into the site already with that distraction somewhat from 10. So he's able to get the first one there. Whilst all these kills are going off, like flashes are coming in everywhere, Dapper then pushes the Omen, who flashes as well, and he manages to get that kill. And so he solo creates this avenue for escape to come towards A instead with those 2 kills. Unfortunately, though, Tens is going to get caught on the cross there. And so the spike gets dropped as well. So Dapper has to come back. Then we get another kill coming in from Zeppa there on Raucus as well. But now Dapper manages to find that one. He picks up the spike and he goes towards a 2v1, but he really plays this 2v1 very, very well indeed. He gets the spike down. Obviously, the dog sees them there. He walks away, not runs away. He knows that they're probably close enough to hear those steps. So he walks away and he starts watching towards the flank, right? Thinking that a flank might come in. The thing is, though, eventually a flash is going to come in there, and he probably knows that, 2v1, they're going to stick together. There's no real reason for them to separate. So he feels like, okay, if the flashes come from there, they're going to come both from there. And so now what he's doing, and this I think is a good teaching tip for you if you're in a 2v1, is there's no good hiding, right? You can't hide in a 2v1 because eventually they're going to tap the spike and you're going to have to swing out at some point. So what he wants to do is he wants to preemptively swing, right? Just take a guess at a random timing where he can maybe kill one and get back behind this box and live and make it a 1v1. And then in a 1v1, you have a lot more options available to you. So that's exactly what he does, right? He just tries to find a timing and he picks the exact right time to find Zeppa there and gets a kill. Now it's a 1v1. And so now he has a lot of options at his disposal, right? He can wait for the chamber to tap the spike. The spike isn't planted in a great spot for him here, but he can do a lot of stuff. But he decides, he's feeling it. He's got 4 kills this round, so he's just going to go swinging. He actually only uses the last bullets in the Vandal there, but swaps to the Sheriff of the chamber and manages to get that last kill as well. Really nice round from Dapper overall. His movement was very good, and the way he played that 1v2 as well, I think, is a very good teaching tape for anyone who wants to know how to play in those situations. But now let's come to round number 12. And in round 12, Sentinels don't have a great buy. And so what that means is you can see we've got 3 Guardians and Light Shields here. But what I really, really want to point out in this round is the lack of utility, right? Because Shazam can't buy any flashes and Tens can't buy any cloud bursts. And I think that this, again, for the way that they play this round, right, when you've got like 3 Guardians, Light Shields, probably the last thing you would expect them to do is go for like a fast execute, or at least fast-ish execute. But that is exactly what they do, right? So missing utility and going with 3 Guardians for a fast execute. It's an odd choice, I'll be honest. But that is what they decide to do. And it starts again with their early like A push where they get the smoke in here, the knife in here. They're going to send the stun down here as well. So that's like one of 2 bits of utility that Shazam has. It will recharge, but they don't wait for that recharge. They decide to just go in with it, right? And again, so working with limited utility, 4 go towards short. Shazam goes on his own towards long. He sends in the Aftershock again, so now Shazam is completely out of utility. He sends the Aftershock in towards there. They're going to get the smoke in towards heaven. They're going to send Omen Flash towards here. And then Kempeki, I think he's the one with like the most utility. He's used 1 flash at this point, and I think it's probably for this area because that's the only real area I can see making sense. And then he's also going to send another flash as they come out onto site, but I don't know where it lands because it doesn't catch any of the C9 players, so I don't really know exactly where he sent that flash. But you're working with essentially just 1 flash at that point to get in onto this site, and obviously that is a lot of pressure on that 1 flash to hit. Whilst that's going on, we've actually sent a Sky Flash down here and they found Shazam, and Leaf is going to manage to win that fight there. So they get that kill, do C9, and now the execute starts to come in. As I said, I don't know where Kempeki sends this last flash of his, but you'll see that none of the C9 players are really affected by it. And so Tens goes dashing in, but again, he has no cloud burst, and I mean, you just can't do that, right? You just can't go dashing in with no cloud burst and expect good things to happen, because guess what happens? He just dies straight away. Corey's just looking at him, again, not caught by that flash, no cloud burst, like, yeah, just death. And then they all just turn to these other players, again, who have no utility to work with at this point, and it's just a shooting range, and they end up losing this round. And then finally, let's come to round number 14. So Sentinels are on the defensive side at this point, and they basically have to force buy in this second round because of the score, of course. So let's take a look at how it goes. And we start off with this, with Shazam. He's got a Marshall and he's pushing down short here with the breach. And he's actually going to manage to find a tag on towards Leaf there. He does manage to just get a body shot. Hit him for 101, doesn't get the kill, but it's a decent start, right? And so now what we're going to see is, well, we get some kind of rotations, but, you know, it's not like they're pushing really early. They stun Shazam off this angle here, get the smoke in, and they start to make some progress towards A. But Sentinels still aren't really too sure of exactly where these players will go, right? What C9 exactly are doing. Are they on A? Are they not? They don't really know at this point, so Kampeki's going to throw in a knife towards short here, but both these players manage to avoid it, and so he ends up rotating back instead. So they play a bit passive on this site, right? Not really knowing what's going on. But then the execute starts to come in from C9. They're going to send in their smokes. They're going to send in a flash here, you know, double flash there. In comes Leaf. And in they get, right? They get into the site and they have the site and they get the spike down. So 5v5 retake. I was kind of interested to see what we would get from Sentinels here. And, well, we're just going to get something, well, I don't really know. Don't even know how you describe it. But here we go, right? It's going to be 5v5 retake. They wait for Raucous to come back here. They're going to send in a stun down here like this. We get an aftershock coming out from Curry. We've got these two players in Heaven, and those are really going to be important, right? These two players from Heaven, because they're going to be able to go before these other players can because of this aftershock, because of this one way as well. These players in Heaven, you know, these are the ones that have to really do pretty well here. To be honest, for Sentinels, because as this comes in, there goes that stun. We're also going to get a flash coming over the top here from Kampeki as well, so it's all pretty nice. But for whatever reason, Tens here, he has again 2 cloud bursts, and I have absolutely no idea why he doesn't use them, because, well, this is just completely suicidal for both him and Dapper, because now both of them just have to jump out, essentially, going with their team's utility. And ideally, they need to kind of live for a second so that these players can, you know, actually get in after this aftershock is stopped, right? So really, he has to use these cloud bursts here, does Tens, but for whatever reason, he doesn't. And what happens is, well, look, he just ends up dropping down here. Dapper's going to end up dropping down here. And they're just going to kill them both very, very quickly, RC9. And, yeah, I don't really... I mean, he's going in with a Marshall as well. You know what? He's hoping to just hit some random shot there. I know the score is 11-2, but, you know, you should still be trying to win rounds at least. So that means that those two players are already dead, you know, before any of these other players have actually entered in towards the site. And so now... those 3 players are just running through a one-way, you know, not having to focus. You know, the C9 players can just all turn to them, as you can see there. They all turn to them. They're all just running through a one-way. In comes the stun as well. And they just go swinging on Shazam and get that last kill as well. And, yeah, this is kind of what it is for Sentinels right now, right? Like, it's not all terrible, but I think that a kind of long, really prolonged break might be good for them, you know, just to completely reset. I mean, as I said, they might make roster changes as well, but just a long, hard reset where they can just, you know, not have to, you know, not have to care and not get criticized, and people will stop talking about them so much. You know, I think that will probably be a good thing for them overall. We'll see what happens with this roster, with this team. Will they get into franchising? We don't know. We'll have to see all of that play out. But yeah, this could be the last time we see Sentinels in some time. And what a journey it's been, you know, from the high highs from, you know, sort of this time last year to where we are now. It has been quite the ride.